Welcome to Round the World Women. My name is Patchanee Malikhao, host of this program. My guest today is Nancy Condon, advisor to international faculty and researchers at UMass. Hi, Nancy, how are you?
Hi, Pat. Nice to see you.
Great. Nancy, you are Greek American?
Yes, my grandparents were from Greece and my mother was first generation.
And where did you live before moving to here?
I was not too far away in Longmeadow, Mass., which is a bedroom community of Springfield.
And now you moved to Belchertown.
Yeah.
And when did you get involved with Round the World Women?
I was on leave of absence from my job as a social worker at Brightside and Families and Children, and I read an article in the paper about a group of women that were from all over the world, and they were baking apple pies, and they had lovely pictures. And at the end of the article it said, if you're interested in volunteering, then call Gretchen Jacobs. And I did, and that's how I began to get interested in the program. Started as a volunteer.
Great. And when did it happen?
That was in 1990, I think. Yes, around 1990, because my daughter was about 2 years old, and now she's graduated from college. So.
Oh, and what did you do then?
At Round the World
Yes.
Women, I was a volunteer driver. I brought my daughter along, and we had various programs. We did, the apple pie baking. We went to museums in the area, and we, as the volunteers, do make the program. Every year the program changes a little bit, so I was involved in helping to do that as well.
Oh, that was before you became to work at UMass.
That's right. And then I got involved with the organization itself that sponsors this, Amherst Town Committee for International Students. And Carol Kumps, who was the director, deputy director in the International Programs Office, said, would you like to work part-time? I need somebody in the office. And I did that, and then I became the international advisor to the faculty and researchers. And I continued in the role because the director at the time, Barbara Byrne, and I saw the importance of having a liaison with the International Programs Office in this group, because as you know, a lot of the women are wives of visiting faculty and researchers.
And what do you do in general to the international faculty and researchers?
I'm responsible for getting the people here from their home country, so I do a lot of immigration work, visa work, liaise with the Department of State, the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, so a lot of bureaucratic things. And the nice part of my job and the part I like almost the best is Round the World Women.
I see. But tell me, before we go into that, how you get involved with Round the World Women through your organization, what does the International Office offer to international scholars and researchers?
We have a variety of services, advising. People come with their children. We help them with the school system, housing, of course, the immigration issues, the employment issues, and helping them to settle in as best they can because they're coming from another culture. Also, we offer the American Culture and Language Program, which is a conversation group that has intermediate, advanced, and a TOEFL class, because a lot of the people that are coming also maybe want to continue on to go to grad school.
I see.
Get their PhD. Even the spouses, whether they be women or men, are here with their spouses, so they might want to get a degree themselves.
I see. So that are evening courses.
Yes, actually, there's a afternoon course now because some of the women wanted to do that while their kids were in school because they were more flexible.
Oh, I see. I see. So how do you link your personal interest to your official function as an advisor of UMass?
Well, I think my personal interest has always been with internationalization, and ever since I was in high school, when the American Field Service was at our high school and there were exchange students, I was always enamored of people from other countries and other cultures. And now in my position, I'm meeting people from literally every corner of the earth. We have over 350 scholars right now from probably 50 or 60 different countries. So every day somebody is coming in from another country, and you know, the happier the family is, the happier the researcher is going to be in his or her research, because they're not worried, is my wife at home alone depressed because I'm in the lab 24/7.
So you refer them to Round the World Women?
Yes.
How do you do that? You have a website, you have
We have a website, but when I issue the visa documents, I send them to the people in their home country along with a hard copy application describing the group and asking them if they want to join. And we also invite the visiting scholars that are here that are women, because a lot of times they're doing research in the lab and they have some free time, and they're even more isolated because they don't have their families with them sometimes. So as you know, we have a lot of researchers, visiting scholars that are part of the group.
Maybe like a 6 months or a year.
Yep. Yeah.
Right. And how do you reach out to the people who are not affiliated with UMass, like such as the people in the 5 colleges or people even outside of the university community?
Yeah. Well, word of mouth is a big one. There's classes at the Jones Library, conversation circle classes, and the women will talk about the group, and then somebody will hear about it and call my office and say, can I join this group? I'm in a group with all the advisors of the 5 colleges, so we meet and they hear about the group and say, I have, you know, it's a Chinese scholar here at Hampshire College. Right now we have 2 Chinese scholars that are part of the group. And historically we've been linked to the Japanese community through Kanazaki Paper Company. Years ago, one of our volunteers had a relationship with, I think it was the president of Kanazaki, and they sponsored us. They gave us monies to go on a spring trip every year.
Money through the international office or just directly
it was to the Amherst
committee?
Committee, town committee.
Yes,
it was directly to that.
I see.
That since, because he moved on and the woman, Nancy Morrison was her name, passed away, that link is no longer there, but we do still get referrals from women. Somehow the Japanese women still hear about it, maybe historically, because I think right now we have 2 women from the paper company, 2 wives of executives that are here.
Oh, okay, that's so you still have the link.
Yes, we have the link.
So talking about history, I know that your former bosses at the international office help establish Round the World Women in a way. So could you explain that a little?
Yes, it's an interesting story. As I understand it, what happened was over probably 45 years ago, there were 2 incidents in the same winter of 2 women that didn't know each other that committed suicide. And when it was investigated, they found that the women didn't speak English. They were isolated in the wintertime at home in their apartments, and obviously felt very depressed. The 2 women that were friends, Eleanor Singleton and Peggy Gage, read about it in the newspaper and thought, how could this be in such a tight community as Amherst? We have to reach out so this doesn't happen again. So they went to the International Programs Office and spoke to the director then, Barbara Byrne, and said, how can we find these women? How can we reach out to them? And she was instrumental in giving them a list of names of the scholars that were here and their families. And the 2 women, and I got to know Eleanor since she's passed away, but she tells the story of how she took a basket of cookies and had the addresses and knocked on the doors of the women's apartments and was, greeted with these sort of amazed looks on their face, handing them cookies and saying, we'd like to invite you to come to a coffee next week, and we're inviting the other international women. If you know anybody, tell them to come.
That's very sweet.
And that's how it all began. It was very informal. It happened at night. And since then, we have a very formal, concise program. We do that in the summer. We pick all the places we're going to. We meet on Tuesdays, and a lot of the women, even the volunteers, get to go places they haven't ever been before and didn't know about.
I see. So your office is responsible for making the booklet now.
Yes,
for
we print,
each member.
We do the printing and distribute it, yeah.
Okay, so you organize some trips too. Can you tell me a little about your trips?
When I started working at the international office and continued to be involved in Around the World Women, I thought that it was important to have our programs focus on UMass places, because most of the women are involved in UMass through their husbands. We used to go to an apple orchard that was in Hatfield. Now we go to the Cold Springs apple orchard, which is part of UMass, and very interesting to a lot of the women too, because a lot of the scholars are here from the Plant and Soil Science Department, so they appreciate seeing that. The UMass has a farm, so we're going to go in a couple of weeks actually to the farm, and Professor Gradil gives us a tour of the horses and the llamas and talks about what they do there. We have gone to the Durfee Conservatory and have people talk about the plants and just the place in general. So now a lot of our programs do revolve not only around what's happening in the Amherst area and a little bit farther, we go for maple syrup to see how that's made, but also the university and all the things it has to offer.
Oh, and a campus tour as well?
Yes, we have done campus tours. Even though many of the women are affiliated through their husbands with the university, that doesn't mean they've been
they don't work
on
there,
the university.
Right?
So we have gone to the library and the Every Women's Center and taken them around.
Yesterday you had like an herbal festival or something?
Yes, the Plant and Soil Science Department did an herb fest, and they actually now the departments know about us because their husbands and the women that are researchers say, I belong to this group, and so Dr. Kraker invited us all to come to it, and next year I think we might have a booth there and maybe do some herbal things with some of the women that are interested in that from their own culture.
Oh, that would be interesting. Even International Food Fair.
Yes. I think years ago they used to have a food fair, and we would sell the food and make money for Round the World Women, but that kind of fell down.
So now you can combine your personal interest with your function fully for Round the World Women. That's appreciated.
Yes, it's a perfect blend.
Do you have any problem communicating with the members of Round the World Women from different culture, different languages? Different accents?
Yeah. I mean, usually I don't, because I'm every day talking to somebody with a different accent. So my ear has gotten very good. Sometimes I'll say, could you spell that? Because somebody doesn't. But my husband, when we have people over for dinner or something, I feel like I'm the interpreter. He's always saying, I didn't understand what they said. And even though because accents are hard, as you know, to understand, but I don't have a problem. And I think that it's because I hear it so much.
I see. So now what you get involved in the two main activities of Round the World Women by offering your own house for pumpkin carving, and you roast the turkey every Thanksgiving. So can you tell me about history of pumpkin carving and the turkey thing?
Yeah, the turkey was always roasted ahead of time, of course, because our meetings are at 10 o'clock, by the superintendent of schools, Don Frizzle. And when I started volunteering, he did it every year, and he would do a wonderful job and describe how to carve a turkey.
But he's a man.
Yes,
and how
we
could
let
he get
him in.
involved?
He
Oh,
was-
you let him in.
we
The
let him
only
in the
man.
door.
Only man. Okay.
only man,
I
honorary
see.
member.
Okay.
So one year he was going to be away, and somebody said, "Who's going to carve the turkey?" So I said that I would carve the turkey, and I woke up, at whatever 4, 5 in the morning to carve, because there's so many people. You have to have a big turkey. And Don came back for a couple of years, and then he retired, and now it's my job to carve the turkey.
So how
I'm
big
getting
is the
very
turkey?
good at
Yeah, you are
carving
good.
turkeys.
It tastes very nice.
Yeah, we usually have a 25-pound turkey.
Now-
It's enough for everybody to have a taste.
Right.
And we have all the fixings of a Thanksgiving dinner, so people can taste everything.
And it takes place now at the Pulpit Hill.
The co-housing.
co-housing,
Yes, one of
yes.
our volunteers,
Randa.
graciously allows us to use that space, which is perfect for that.
And how about the pumpkin thing?
The pumpkin thing, the same thing happened. It used to be in Sunderland at someone's home, and she decided she didn't want to do it anymore. And I have an old home with a big barn, and so I said, well, we can do it at my house. And it's been, I think, maybe 15 years now or more.
That's very kind of you. Yeah, you
Yeah, it's
not
fun.
only you allowed, did you allow people to carve things in your yard, you also invited them, to have tea and cookies and snacks. That's very kind of
Yeah,
you.
it's fun, and we have an antique colonial, so it's nice for the women to see a real New England homestead, because usually, I mean, the beauty of Round the World Women is that normally when you go to another country, you don't get to really immerse yourself in the life of the people that are the natural people that are there. So this gives the women a chance to go into American women's homes and see what it's like, and see the houses and the different ways that people do things, because of the nature of being in another culture, you often become friends with the people that are also here as visitors from other countries. And it's nice for this group because they can be friends with Americans as well.
That's very
Whatever
nice.
the definition now is of American, because our volunteer group is made up of a lot of different cultures as well.
Yeah.
But
You also host a tea or coffee session. Yeah.
yes,
as
one
well.
of the programs is Coffee with Drivers, so we split the group up so they can go to various women's homes and sit and talk and discuss different topics.
So you have been involved for a long, long while, personally and through your work. And do you enjoy it?
Yes.
That's
yes,
why you keep on
I
doing
do.
what you
and
do.
you learn so much about not only meeting new people and the women, but about their cultures. Just at the last Coffee with Drivers was when everything was happening with North Korea and South Korea. And we were hearing in the newspaper that was there going to be a bomb, or was there going to be a war? What was happening? And the South Korean woman that was there, we asked her, and she said, "Oh, I called home," and she said, "Everybody's going to work. Everybody's doing everything as normal. This is just a lot of posturing by the North Koreans." Whereas in our newspaper, we don't
really
get
know.
that. So you get
Firsthand
firsthand information. Right.
All right. And talking about the women, knowing your American culture, what kind of good characteristics of Americans that you would like them to know about you, about American culture or Amherst culture?
I think that, we all have stereotypes about everybody's different countries. So when women come here and their families, they maybe think that Americans are very materialistic and only care about getting things for themselves. And it's not so much what Americans are, it's that they get to meet people and each other and see that we all have the same needs and wants for our families, for our children, to be healthy and to do the best we can for them. And what I hope happens, and I think does happen, is the women go back to their countries, and when they're sitting talking to their friends and hear somebody say, oh, American women or American people, they're rude and they don't care about each other and they carry guns. That's always a big thing that women will say to me. You know, I thought I would come and see people walking around with guns all the time. So they can say firsthand, I lived there, I met people from America, and that's not the way it is.
Good impressions about some women that you drove for. Do you have any story to tell?
I think what is most enlightening and beneficial for the women is that they meet each other from other countries as well, and see that what they thought as stereotypes from other countries maybe aren't true. And one day we were having a program where we were asking people to talk about their culture and to maybe say something or demonstrate something. And there was a Black South African woman who got up and started to do one of her native dances and sing. And there was a woman who had just come that week, and she stood up, and she was a white woman, and started dancing.
And they
with
were from
this
the same
woman.
country?
We didn't know at first, but we were all like, wow, what's going on? And the Black woman said, how did you know this dance? How do you know, this is something my grandmother taught me. And it turned out she was from South Africa as well.
Both of them.
Both of them, and she had learned the dance from her nanny. That she was from a privileged background.
I see.
And they became close friends because they had in common their culture and their knowledge of their country. And it was, you know, before apartheid. So it was really nice to see that interaction that I don't think would have happened if they were at home in their home country.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was a
and people get along well. Do you have any incident that people don't get along?
No, I think, you know, there's always just like any women, you know, you're friends with some people. But I think because this is neutral ground. This is, everybody's from a different country, but we are the host country, and it's not that an Israeli person is in Israel and then all the other people are visiting her. She's a guest, and all the different countries, whether it be France or Brazil or South Korea or Russia, you know, we have people from everywhere. They're meeting in a safe place. And so and they're all in the same boat. They're in a place that's not their home, and they're, of course, a lot of times missing their home or missing their families, and they have a common bond that way. So I see them as being even overly friendly to each other. If you know somebody's carrying somebody's baby all the time, somebody the child is crying, the mother's got a baby, somebody comes and helps them.
That's very nice.
I think it brings out the best.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I saw an Israeli having a coffee with a Palestinian, and you know, and talking to people from the Middle East, and you know, with a lot of people, a lot of cultures, and they're friends, just individual, not politics involved.
Exactly.
Yeah. And what do you think about the future of Around the World Women?
Well, it is growing and growing.
I see it.
It's bursting at the seams.
Now we have
at
like
my
60,
house. There were 60-something people for pumpkin carving, and yesterday we went to Sojourner Truth statue, and we got the tour, and the gentleman who gave the tour said he's never seen such a big group of people. So, you know, our resources are needing to be beefed up, so we do a fundraising. We'll have to try to do a little bit more on that end, because everything that we go to, we try not to charge the women. Everyone is in different economic situation. We don't want that to be a reason for women not to come because they can't afford to pay the $10 fee to Eric Carl or something like that. So I see us having to maybe do some more fundraising. If anybody wants to donate money, they can do that. We would highly appreciate it. And to get more volunteers is a big one. The volunteer women drive the other women, and that is a major part of the program, because that's the time you really can bond and the women can ask questions that they may have about doctors or about shopping or something. So our volunteer group is aging, and we need some younger women. Unfortunately, the workforce is playing into it, because most people are working now during the day. But if anybody wants to volunteer, we'd be glad to have that. And young women that have their children, are staying home with their children, they can bring their kids with them. And it's great for their kids to be exposed to children from other countries as well.
So, but we are going to make a big trip the end of this month, right?
Next week.
The Sturbridge trip. I heard someone sponsoring the trip, or used to be.
That used to be sponsored by the Japanese organization, and it wasn't always the. We didn't always go to Sturbridge Village. When that was sponsored, we would take a bus to Boston for the day, and it was a more expensive trip. So now it's our fundraising that pays for the trip to Sturbridge Village. We get a bus, and we get a UMass bus, so we can have a reduced rate on that. It's cheaper than getting.
So now we should get together and think about how to raise money for other expensive trips that might come up next year or the years to come. So do you have anything else to talk about Round the World Women?
I think, just to say that people, I know that you've become a volunteer, and that when you started, when you came as a wife of a visiting or a faculty member, it was a way for us to reach out to you, but also for the scholars and the faculty to know that the university is wanting to offer not just the services for the faculty person, but sees the whole package, that in order for the families to be happy and for the scholar to be able to do his or her work, you need to have that socialization, and you need to understand the community and know what your resources are. And I think that Round the World Women does that. It offers that. And because we offer it to the women doesn't just mean it is only for the women, because they go home and inform their husbands about where to go for, to see maple syrup, or, what's available for resources for them. I often get questions I meet the scholars first, because they come in and for the immigration issues, and I have to talk to them and orient them. And then they may bring their wives in, or their wives may come separately, but I'm always being thanked for having this group and having the international office help to be part of this, because their wives are so happy, and it makes them look forward to every week coming to the group, and makes it easier for them because they know they're happy at home.
Thank you, Nancy.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your information and your kindness for helping the Round the World Women.
Well, thank you for being part of it as well.
You're welcome. And thank you for your interest.